powered by Riverwind Casino. My name is Brandon Drum here with Parker Thune, Spencer Forsythe on the board. Postmortem, OU Diamond talk. We're going to talk about the softball, baseball. We're going to talk about camps. We're going to talk about the big visit weekend, Oklahoma's first big visit weekend. And as official visit season is upon us and commitment season intermingled, we're kind of on the precipice of commitment season, Parker, where we're kind of in between right now, the kind of the ether. And we're going to answer your questions and a whole lot more on this OU Insider YouTube Live powered by Riverwind Casino. Before we do that, Parker, take it away and thank our sponsors.
Yes, and that starts with Riverwind Casino. That's always the first sponsor we need to thank because they are our presenting sponsor and they're the premier gaming destination in the Metro, have been for nearly 2 decades, almost 3,000 electronic games, table games, bars and dining options, plus the best live music in the Metro. It's no surprise that Riverwind is always a good time. Shout out as well to our friends at Jana King, a proud partner of OU Athletics, and of course, the greatest team to ever clean, delivering spotless results and solutions from stadiums to any size business across the country. So check out which of those solutions is best for you by heading to janiking.com. That's JANIKING.com. And folks, Father's Day is upon us. If you need a Father's Day gift, let me introduce you to Brunt Workwear. This Father's Day, upgrade the hardest working guy you know with boots that are as tough and dependable as he is. Whether he needs waterproof, safety toe, pull on, or lace up, Brunt's got him covered. These might be the most comfortable work boots on the planet, and they're built to perform day after day. Plus, Brunt lets dad try them on the job. If they don't blow him away, he can send them back. But this Father's Day, our listeners are getting $10 off at Brunt with code OU Insider at checkout. Just head to bruntworkwear.com and use code OU Insider, and you're all set. And after you buy, do us a favor. When they ask where you heard about Brunt, tell them it was from our show. Choosing work boots used to mean sacrificing comfort or durability if they felt good. They didn't last, and if they lasted, they wrecked your feet. Brunt Workwear finally ended that trade-off, designing boots that withstand the toughest job sites while feeling as comfortable as your favorite sneakers. And I own a pair. I can personally attest to this. So again, head to bruntworkwear.com and use code OU Insider, and you're all set. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show once again and tell them we sent you. All right, Brandon. OV weekend taking shape, not as big as we once imagined it would be. There have been some subtractions here over the last week and a half, but a huge weekend for the Oklahoma staff because they're hosting a very talent-rich camp session over at the Everest Training Center tomorrow, and that will be followed, of course, by official visits kicking off on Friday. And if you want to see the complete list of everybody that's visiting Oklahoma officially this weekend and everybody that's not visiting, because there's been a lot of change, as I mentioned, head over to ouinsider.com. We got it all covered there, but obviously the most consequential visit, the one that we've talked about the most, the one that will probably continue to get talked about the most, is the OV for 4-star quarterback Bo Bentley out of Salina, Texas.
Yeah, I mean that's the one everybody wants to know, everybody wants to talk about. I think, he left LSU uncommitted, which was what everybody was hoping for if you're an Oklahoma fan, right? You feel like Oklahoma has a really good shot with the relationship he has with John Mateer, with Ben Arbuckle. And then on top of that, you feel like he grew up an Oklahoma fan. Now that hasn't worked in Oklahoma's favor. I mean, what would you give the percentage, the fandom growing up being a diehard OU fan has worked in Oklahoma's favor? In-state has worked quite a bit. Out of state has been hit or miss over the years. And there's been times where the players committed to Oklahoma State, committed right up to National Signing Day, and then decided to go elsewhere. Gabriel Brownlow Dindy comes to mind. Players of that ilk. But this is going to be a weekend where, and we talked about it on the podcast, if Oklahoma can get a few of those low-hanging fruits to commit and build up a little bit of momentum, things can change really quickly. A player that you may not have expected to pop ends up popping and feeling like they want to go ahead and get it over with because this is where their heart was probably leaning them that direction, but they wanted to keep things a little bit open, but they get caught up in the emotion of the thing. And, the kids do that. You saw Caden Hall with Florida, right? Oklahoma had been considered the leader for quite some time, but Florida had grown in momentum over the last few weeks. He goes on that visit and bam, a few days later, he commits to Oklahoma. Now, his family didn't really want him committing to Oklahoma, but the emotion of a teenager can never be understated, Parker. And when
You
the
mean his
momentum,
family didn't want him committing to Florida?
yeah, they wanted him to still take visits, and they wanted Oklahoma to get that last visit, and it just didn't happen. The kids get the choice. At the end of the day, it's their decision. It is what it is.
Yeah, their
But
life.
yep. So, point being is that the kids ride an emotional tidal wave, and if you can get, I don't know, I mean, who would we consider low hanging fruit here this weekend?
Noah
Um,
Best.
Noah Best. You get a Noah Best to pop. Um, I guess Braxton Lindsay, right?
Yeah, I'm not sold on that one being a slam dunk. I think you're
Yeah,
gonna have
me
to get through
neither.
the
But
BYU visit.
yeah, it's still considered one where they're in a good spot, though, right? That's kind of where I'm headed
Oh,
at.
no doubt, no doubt. And
So,
I think OU goes into the weekend in a really good spot with Deacon Schmidt as well. I mean, that's another long-time offensive line target. Bill Bedenbaugh might get a couple this weekend. Now, nothing set in stone. Both of those guys have visits scheduled on the other side of this trip to OU. Okay, fact or fiction? With a little rivals branding here. Fact or fiction? The most likely guy to commit to OU this weekend is Tyler Ruxer, the tight end from Indiana.
mm, man, I like OU's chances.
Because I would say that one's more likely than Best or Schmidt.
I mean, you're asking me because I've talked to him a lot. Probably fact. I would say he's probably yeah, just because of how this thing. He's moved other visits around to make this Oklahoma visit work. So, and knowing what I know and having talked to him and what he thinks of Oklahoma as a program, what he thinks, I know you fans are going to like this. What he thinks of Joe John Finley is
Yeah,
holds him
so
in
you
pretty high
fans are
regard.
loving this.
Holds him in pretty high regard. So, yeah, I would say fact. I would say that's a fact. Now watch him not commit, but I'm just saying that's a fact. I still have on my SMU bracelet from the other day. I have not taken the thing. I just now realized that after I saw it in we had to wear it for the camp if you
Yeah,
wanted to
no,
have
it's all good.
access.
I'm wearing a
So
Florida State T-shirt tonight. Didn't think about it until we got on the air. I was like, man, that could be misconstrued.
we are.
It's my grandpa's alma mater. That's why I have the shirt. But
Oh my
man,
goodness.
let me slouch down so I can hide that logo.
Yeah, that's funny. Sorry, viewers. Was not planned that we did that. Is what it
Both
is.
of us are repping other schools. How crazy is that? Another one that we should mention in the somewhat likely to commit department would certainly be Matthew Nelson, right? I mean, at OU last
Oh yeah,
weekend,
that's
coming
probably the
back
most
this
likely,
weekend.
right?
I mm, I would say it's Ruxer. I would go Ruxer slightly over Nelson
Hmm.
because the whole recruitment process
Interesting.
turned up really late for Nelson. I mean, Ruxer was kind of a later riser. Nelson was a legit late riser. Like, he's only
Yeah.
held the Oklahoma offer since April, and it wasn't all that much sooner than that he got his first P5 offer, I believe, from Houston. So I feel like I do think he's set on Oklahoma. I shouldn't say set on Oklahoma. I do think he's pretty sold on Oklahoma. I do think Oklahoma's his number one. I do think there's a very real chance he commits to Oklahoma this weekend. But it would not shock me at all if he decides to take his final two official visits just because.
Yeah.
Make the most of it. With Ruxer, he's already taken several OVs, right? So
He
he's coming to
has.
the end of his process.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a
Got
guy
one
that
more.
has several more OVs lined up after this weekend.
I want to say Louisville's his last visit, right?
Is it Louisville? I thought maybe it was Minnesota.
No, it's Minnesota. He was already done Louisville. Okay, so my bad. Psh, my bad. All right. He's on Duke, Louisville, Northwestern.
Oh, hang on, hang on. It just occurred to me. I take it all back about Ruxer committing this weekend because he does have a commitment date on the schedule. It's July 7th.
That's
With
where
his
that's
teammate. So
okay.
that
Yeah.
okay.
Yes. There you go. All right. So now let me throw why I think I say fact on that because he and I talked. And I'm just going to go ahead and say what he said. He said, if I commit, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to tell anybody because I'm going to
Okay.
announce with my teammates.
There you go.
Now, yeah, he is, he's very adamant um, about the July 7th date, much like, who's July 5th?
July 5th.
We were just talking about it at the SMU camp.
I
Who
don't
was
know.
July 5th? We were talking to those two coaches, and there was somebody big that was July 5th. Remember, Caden said, well, that's my birthday. You remember that conversation? I know you remember the conversation. You don't remember the player that we're talking about,
Yes.
much like me.
I could not tell you.
If my son was in here, he could tell us because that dude has.
Well, is it Braden Presley?
No, his is July 12th.
July 12th. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And then I haven't mentioned this at OUinsider.com. I probably should. Noah Best's commitment is tentatively set for July 1st. So you can expect a decision on or before that date. I would say on, but there's always a chance.
And that's why I said we're on the precipice of commitment season because July and August is where a lot of these things are going to pop. Now you're going to get some. I think OU has, okay, by June 30th, if I set the over under at 5.5 commits, would you take the over?
By June 30th, I would take the over. I would take the over. Yeah.
I would too.
I'd say 6 or 7 is fair.
I mean, look how, yeah, they have what, 21 spots open? Right? Are they at 5 or 6?
They have 7 commits right now. 7.
7 commits. Okay. Yeah, okay. I forgot the Brian Harris thing just slipped my mind. All right. So yeah, so they got 19 spots though. Or 18, 19 spots left, give or take. That's still a lot. So 5 and so 6 really wouldn't be that big of a deal by June 30th. You would still have a big chunk, almost half your class still to fill up in July and August. So, and who knows what Oklahoma does as I think that's going to be the weird part as fall rolls around. Just because I was talking to somebody today and they were just like, look, Jim Nagy's still learning the college game and how this works. And he's still learning the evaluation, not how to evaluate, but more so the roster accumulation. It's different than the NFL. And I'm going to say this, like how Oklahoma operates, I think they're still going to have to tinker it because I do not think you can operate as like an NFL team in college, regardless of the fact, because these coaches have to be the ones to have the relationship with the families. They have to be the one that have the relationship with the kids at the end of the day. And it can't just be solely the GM says you're going after this guy and this is what you do. It has to fit with the coach too. Does that make sense?
It does.
So there's gonna have to I think OU's still in an adjustment period. I know you fans don't want to hear that, Parker, but it's fact. They're still adjusting. And I don't think Oklahoma's the only one. I think almost every program's adjusting with the general manager positions. And I think until they get a cap on this where you can only throw out so much and third parties, all that type of stuff, the donors can't come in and say, well, we're going to get this person to give you this or this on the side, is monitored to the extent where it's almost negligible when it comes to recruiting and it's more relationship. Until all that takes place, you're going to see a lot of teams every cycle they're going to be adjusting to something new and how they want to operate this, just because there's so many loopholes. It sucks right now. It sucks. Like, I hate it because we don't know. We have no idea how this thing is going to end. Like, it used to be so, it wasn't easy to do our job, but we had a really good feel because relationships mattered more
Oh, of
than at
course.
any other point.
Yeah.
It just makes it very hard.
And
Anyway,
yeah, and again, that's not to say relationships don't matter
no, they
anymore,
still
but there's
do. Yeah.
there's another very significant factor in the mix that can render relationships much less significant by the end of the process.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Somebody in the chat said Nagy lost a lot of credibility by moving on from Mason James. I don't care if he's not 6'4". He's a legit speed and separation guy.
Okay, look.
I'm gonna
I've
bow out of this because his brother plays on my son's 7-on-7 team. So I'm gonna prop my feet up and let you cook, homie.
look, I've been saying it for a year and a half at this point. I am enamored with Mason James as a
Yes,
prospect.
you are.
I think the world of that kid. I think that is the top player in the state of Oklahoma. No disrespect to the other stellar prospects within the state because there are a lot of them in the 2026 class. That's still the kid that I would absolutely rather have over anybody. I think he's special. I think he's a future NFL guy. And I also could be completely wrong. I
Are
could
you
be.
counting
It,
O'Neal when you
yes.
say that? Okay.
Yes, I am. I am.
I would disagree with that part just because of the quarterback position, but go ahead.
Yeah, and look,
Cook.
obviously there's going to be a disproportionate amount of weight because of the importance at the position that he plays. But
Okay.
I, it's been my take for a long time, and I think Jaden O'Neal to me would be number two to Mason James. I think Mason James is the real deal.
Oh, he
And
is.
but I say all that, and I could be completely wrong. Recruiting and evaluation in particular, evaluation is a very inexact science. And there are a myriad of reasons why things could go great for Mason James at the next level. And there are a myriad of reasons why things could completely take a left turn for Mason James at the next level. I'm sold on him. I think he's going to be an excellent college football player.
Mhm.
Jim Nagy happens to not share that opinion, and that's okay. As far as the University of Oklahoma is concerned, Jim Nagy's opinion matters a whole lot more than mine. And do I disagree with it? Absolutely, I do. I voiced that. But I also understand that Oklahoma brought in Jim Nagy for a reason. Jim Nagy has been doing this professionally for a long, long, long time. That doesn't mean he's going to be right in this instance or that I'm going to be right in this instance. All of that is yet to be determined. But I am willing to cut Jim Nagy the benefit of the doubt and see how this class plays out, see what else Oklahoma gets at the wide receiver position, and ultimately see how Mason James' college career plays out before I rake him over the coals for making a bad decision because I don't know that it's a bad decision. None of us do.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you. I think there was more to it than people. Everybody looks at the size and they're like, well, it's just because of the size. Well, it was the size, but it was also the fact that they have so many guys with his stature already on the roster. They needed longer wide receivers. I think if you move this, if Mason James was in 25 or 27, he's a take for Oklahoma. But the fact remains is that on the roster, as the roster sits right here, right now, there's a lot of 5'11, 5'10 guys in OU's wide receiver core. And they want guys that are longer, 6 foot and above for this class. I mean, I don't think that's anything away from Mason James because I think at the end of the day, like you said, he's a stud,
Mm-hmm.
an absolute stud, like arguably the best player in the state. I mean, somebody could argue that. You did. And any other class, I think he's a take, just because the numbers and how the roster is set up align for that to happen. It just was an unfortunate set of circumstances this cycle. It is
We
what
have
it is.
we
Go
have a
ahead.
couple of
Yep.
super chats we have to get to.
Go for
Colt
it.
Wordwell threw us $5 and said, "Need that lawnmower 3.0 ad so I can watch BD lose it."
Yes,
It
I'm
was
immature.
always peak entertainment when Brandon had to navigate those ad reads. Tim Moore gave us $10. And by the way, if you want to contribute via super chat, that will ensure that we read your question or address your comment over the course of the show. We do it with every single super chat every week. Tim Moore says, "What happens if we go 8-4?" I think we're in trouble at 7-5. Think we're okay if we go 9-3. Can't decipher 8-4. That's fair, Tim.
Yeah.
I think like 8-4 is kind of the quintessential not quite there yet season in the SEC, isn't it? Because 8 wins.
With that schedule, though,
Yeah,
mm, I think 8 wins put you near the top 15 with that schedule. You don't?
I do, but I also don't think that's enough to satisfy the average Oklahoma fan because they're not used to seeing their team win 8 games in a season.
I mean,
Period. Let alone like, and that's just it goes back to the standards needing to be reshaped as you transition from the Big 12 to the SEC. You're not going to win 10, 11 games a year anymore in the SEC. Nobody does that. Saban's Alabama did that. That's about it.
and they even had their down years where they were 9 and 10. So, like, I mean, it was few and far between, but they had a few. There was something I read today, Parker, where, dang it, hold on, I'm trying to pull it up real quick. It was there was a top 25 ranking, and what struck me funny, I believe it was the FPI for ESPN, the top
Okay.
25.
And which Oklahoma's like what, 16th?
Yeah, they're 16th. So okay, but that's not the point. The point is, this is why 8-4 is good for this year. And I know that hurts me to say. I want you all to understand that hurts me to say that that's good. But of the top 22 teams, of the top, excuse me, of the top 25 teams, of the top 25 teams, this is the ranking on ESPN FPI. This is who OU plays. For those of number one is Texas. They're number one. OU has to play the number 1 team, the number 3 team, the number 10 team, the number 12 team, 13, 14, 15, 17, and 23.
I mean, listen,
That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Of their 12 games, 9 of them are top 25 opponents.
yeah. I mean, look, I was out in Oklahoma City with Dari Noka on Saturday night, and we were talking about the season upcoming, and he said Oklahoma is facing one of the hardest schedules he's ever seen. I mean, the schedule is absolutely brutal and unforgiving. And that's why I think, yeah, if you win 8 games, you did pretty well with that schedule. It's going to be tough convincing the typical Oklahoma fan of that reality. Because again, 8-4 according to SEC standards, 8-4 is the good but not quite there yet type of year.
Yeah.
The quintessential good but not quite there yet type of year. And I think that's where Oklahoma is. And I think that's fair to acknowledge, right? This is not a team that goes into 2025 with championship expectations, at least externally. Okay? So nobody is putting that type of hype on Oklahoma. The over-under in Vegas is 6.5 wins. A lot of it has to do with that vicious schedule. If Oklahoma is able to win 8 games, to go back to Tim's original question on the YouTube chat, I don't think you need to decipher that. It might look a certain way. There's an 8-4 that of one ilk that looks better than 8-4 of another ilk, but 8 wins in the SEC in this SEC, I think that's fine. It's not what you aspire to. It's not what you fantasize about, but it'll do. And what it'll hopefully do is
You just
springboard you toward an even more successful year in 2026, where you're legitimately ready on both sides of the ball via the influence of Jim Nagy and his thumbprint on the roster to compete at the absolute highest level in the SEC. I just don't think right now, roster wise, Brandon, Oklahoma in an overall sense is there with the true cream of the crop in the SEC. I think the roster is good, and I think it's steadily getting better. I don't see a championship roster yet. They got a couple championship units, man. That defensive line is going
stupid.
to be one of the best
Yeah.
in the country.
Mm.
But in order to field a championship team, you got to be strong everywhere.
Well, they got two spots that notoriously, if you're good at those two positions and you have depth at those two positions, which Oklahoma does, you're going to win a lot of games. And that is, well, even I'll say three at these three positions right here. Quarterback, which is the main one,
Mm-hmm.
and the most important, the fact that you have John Mateer and Mike Hawkins. Not bad, not bad, not bad. Defensive line, safety. Those three I would put up against almost any units in the nation right now. Hell, you're starting cornerbacks in Gentry Williams and Eli Bowen. I would put up against most anybody in the nation. I would even go, and this is going to be crazy after what we witnessed last year. I'll even say that the OU offensive line has the potential to be the top half of the SEC this year. Potential. They got to show me first, but they got a chance to be pretty freaking good. I talked to somebody yesterday. You know, we were hearing all the just the doom and gloom. The same person yesterday that I talked to that said last year that offensive line sucked during the offseason, during spring and summer. Flat out sucked. You could guess who this is.
Yes, I can.
Told me, bro, they're pretty freaking good. Like, not worried too much about them as long as the two deep stays healthy, which was a big issue last year. They feel pretty good about it. I don't know, man. Like, I think if you can get 9 wins, like, with this schedule, this is the question I ask, because I think it's a valid question. Any other team that ever asked this, I would say that's the dumbest question I've ever heard. OU schedule being what it is, being what we just talked about, being what I just said, you win 9 games, are you in the playoffs? Are you back ending yourself into the playoffs?
You very well may be. 9 games. Yeah, 9 games in the SEC. That's probably good enough to get a playoff spot.
With that schedule, the fact that you're playing Michigan, non-con.
And that Michigan non-con game will help.
Huge, as long as you get the dub. You got to get the. And again, I still think that's the biggest game of the year. That is the biggest telltale game for OU. Who are they? If you win that Michigan game, I don't care if you win by 3. If you win that Michigan game, it's going to wake the rest of the nation up. Oh, crap. They back. Remember, and I hate the fact that we're talking like this. Every year, anytime Texas beat like Notre Dame or something, Texas is back. That's exactly what the crap's going to happen with OU if they beat Michigan. OU's back. They're back. This is the team I think it's just like who they beat in, I guess it was Texas in 2023 when everybody's like, after the 6 and 7, there was like, oh, they're back. They're
Yes.
back.
It wasn't until they beat Texas that everybody
Yep.
kind of came around on OU like that.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I'm a little bit higher on the roster than you are just because I think it sets up well. I think if OU could have Texas' schedule, I think they're easy playoff team. Would you agree? Oh man, yes.
What does Texas's schedule look like? Like knee jerk, I want to say yes, but I have to look at Texas's schedule in order to give you a legitimate. Okay, so here we go. Here we go. Let's just walk right
Because
through
if
it.
Texas had OU scheduled, they would not they would
Ohio
fare.
State, I would
Yeah.
not take OU over Ohio
No,
State.
I wouldn't either. I always
San
forget
Jose
that's a
State
non-con.
win, UTEP win, Sam Houston win, Florida probably a win. Um, Oklahoma, well,
Flip it,
let's
Texas.
call it a coin flip.
Mhm.
Uh, Kentucky win, Mississippi State win, Vanderbilt win, Georgia. Yeah, probably wouldn't take them over Georgia, but I would take them over Arkansas and A&M to close the year. So yeah, that's a playoff team. I think 9-3, maybe 10-2.
Yep. I mean, crazy, crazy talk. Now, on a more current and prudent conversation, um, this weekend of the official visitors we talked about. Oh, by the way, speaking of prudent camp conversation, I just got a text. And the only reason why I bring this up is because in the comments I read, just kind of glanced through, it's moving pretty quickly. So I glanced through and saw Jaden O'Neal's gone. Well, what if I told you Jaden O'Neal's camping at Oklahoma on the 12th of June? That just got text to me from his dad. Thank you, Jaron. He's going to take a break because they're at that. Are you going up to Owasso?
I won't be up at a Owasso.
Okay,
No.
I'll go. That's the Mustang. I'll go. Um, I want to see this Gabriel Osborne person that our man Dwight Dobbins just texted me and told me is Jalen Ramsey part two. And he's
Jalen
20.
Ramsey part two. Holy smokes.
He's big, man. Like he's bigger than I thought he was in person. No joke. And you remember Patrick McCoffin at Oklahoma State? Played at
Patrick.
Douglas.
No, I don't.
So he's a quarterback at Douglas. Went to Oklahoma State. Bumped into him at Gridiron Nationals when my kid was playing down there um, in 7-on-7, and he talked to me about Gabriel because he was part of that Putnam City staff,
Hmm.
and he told me he's like, I'm telling you right now, he's the best cornerback in 6A. He just was on a crappy team. He said he is going to dominate, and then the very next day I get that text. Jalen, so OU is very well aware of Gabriel Osborne at Mustang, and
Is
apparently
he camping at OU?
I'm working on finding that out. I'm working on finding that out. Um, but Jaden O'Neal camping at Oklahoma, and by the way, I think it was hyperbole. They were saying Jalen Rams, just so we're clear, a little bit of hyperbole. Obviously, that guy's a Hall of Famer, but they say he's really freaking good. Like, and his offers are starting to rack up, dude.
Yes, they are.
So don't be shocked if Oklahoma rolls around in there. He's a big 6'3", long. Like he can tie his shoes standing up. His arms are so long, like they're stupid. They're down to his ankles. So like perfect frame, Gentry Williams type frame.
Down to his ankle seems a little unnatural.
It's that was hyperbole. I'll admit it, but they're super long, ridiculous. I think they're down to his calves. That's not hyperbole. That's legit. His fingers go down to his calves. Um, but he reminds me of Gentry as far as his frame, a little bit taller, a little bit thicker already. Not he looks like Gentry now already, if that makes sense. And Gentry's a big dude now, so like, um, if Oklahoma doesn't offer him, I'll be shocked. But the fact that Jaden O'Neal is going to camp again, I've been trying to tell everybody like this thing's trending a lot better than it was. The relationship that they have with, I'll say this, the relationship they have, Parker, is to the extent that Arbuckle's done a fantastic job, that they're in a new home. It's a rent home, but like they moved into a brand new rent home in Mustang. And the grass is growing. Jaron told me on Saturday that he has a grow off with Ben Arbuckle, where they take photos of each other's grass to show each other where the patches are growing in and who has the more plush grass by the end of the summer. So the relationship's growing. If you're doing that type of stuff, like you're starting to really get along. So that's interesting because they were far off, what, a month and a half ago to where we were like, ugh. And so this relationship, it's moving in a better direction. It'll be interesting to see how um it plays out when Bo Bentley does decide. And if he really does camp after, I still think he's going to camp. How the Florida State visit on the 13th plays out through the 15th with Jaden O'Neal, because I think that's the biggest play. If they come away still committed to Oklahoma, if Bentley's committed to OU and they get away from FSU uncommitted, would you agree, since that's leading up to the official visit to OU, that things are probably it's looking more likely they stick?
Yes. Yes. At that point, yes. We
Yep.
just, again, I think there's another significant wrinkle in this thing if Bo Bentley settles on OU.
Yeah, that's the thing we're waiting to see how that
And,
plays out.
you know,
Yep.
that point feels like it could go either way.
Yep.
If Bo Bentley
Agreed.
goes to LSU, then I think you feel great about Jaden O'Neal's odds
Oh,
to stick in
fact.
class.
Yes.
It's just it feels like a week from now we will finally know with some sense of certainty where this all is headed at the quarterback position.
And like, I think if you're an OU fan, it stinks if you lose out on Bo Bentley. But at the same time, the fact that you have Jaden O'Neal still sitting there in your class, like, it's not, the world is not over, because you got a really, really, really good quarterback that you've had for almost a year just sitting right there. And it is close to a year, right? Like,
yeah, June 24th of last year.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, it's almost to the day. So, anyways, the people are still saying we're not getting both QBs. Shake my head, BD. Look, guys, I'm not saying they are getting both. I'm telling you that it's trending a lot better. Like, Parker and I were both standing up on the table saying never, never, never a month ago. But knowing what we know behind the scenes, it's moving in a better direction. You guys, you may end up being right, 100% right. We may end up being right that both of them won't be in the class. And as a matter of fact, the O'Neills were saying it at one point that both of them couldn't coexist. And now they're saying they can behind the scenes. Like, I'm telling you what they've told us. That's a different. So, like, I get it. You may be right. We may be right. But if you're an OU fan, you got to hope you're wrong. You want both. You want two top 250 quarterbacks in the class. You're crazy if you don't. Crazy. Anyways, what else you want to talk about?
Well, what else is there to talk about? If we're going back to official visitors this weekend, a couple of notable subtractions, as we mentioned earlier. Let's discuss one of them because I know we touched on him on the Under the Visor podcast. Celesi Moa, man. I really like Celesi Moa. It'd be such a good get for Oklahoma. But again, it comes down to cost benefit, right? What are you investing versus what are you getting in return? And seems like Oklahoma is willing to just kind of bow out of the Celesi Moa sweepstakes given where the price point is currently at. And look, I am of the opinion, I said this on the podcast, Jim Nagy is a more scrupulous man than me because I would pay the kid. I would pay the kid whatever it takes to get him to Oklahoma because I think he is going to be a ball player at the next level. But I don't know how much money is in the coffers. I don't know how taking a Celesi Moa would impact the calculus at other positions. Hashtag trust Nagy. That's my encouragement.
impact
That's
his
my
safety.
exhortation. But if it were me, I would be very, very tempted to spend indiscriminately to get Celesi Moa.
I mean, you're setting me up here. Up, see, Jaron O'Neal's on here. He's on the chat, by the way. There you go. So here's the deal. If he wasn't getting offered more than every safety on OU's roster, including the all conference guys, including the former 5-star at the other places, I would agree from a talent perspective, ridiculous, insane, awesome. However, I don't know that he was better than Peyton Bowen out of high school, and he wasn't making $500,000. I don't know that he's better than. I mean, I loved Amarian Robinson. You and I may disagree on this one, but we both watched what Amarian Robinson did at the 5-star challenge, and that was stupid versus all those 5-star wide receivers. He was locking their butts down. So I don't know that he was a. I don't know that he's definitively better than Amarian Robinson, and he would be making more than him. He would be making more than Robert Spears Jennings. Like those guys are making a lot of money. I don't know that they're making $500,000-$600,000. So just throwing that out there. The cost benefit is correct. That would piss off everybody in that safety room because kids talk, unfortunately.
Yes, they do. Money does get talked about.
No, it's Celeste Moa, not Celeste Moa. That sounds like a porn name.
Salesi. That's how
Yeah.
you spell his name. Celesi.
Yeah. There you
Celeste.
go. There you go. All right. Outside of that, like it was a tough weekend for OU, just from
It
a
was.
Diamond
Yeah.
Sports perspective. Um, Good news is they have the number one class in the country coming in, and they have 9 freshmen, 3 sophomores, 3 seniors. I know that they lost one of their freshmen. I guess Hicks is who all transferred. Who are all already announced
Corey
their
Hicks
transfer.
and Maya Bland.
Both freshmen, right?
Maya Bland was a redshirt
Sophomore,
freshman or sophomore,
Rich or
one of the
sophomore.
two.
Yeah.
He'd been here for 2 years.
I mean, Hicks was a tough loss because she was good when she came in and hit. I never understood that. Like I thought for sure she would return because she had a huge future at Oklahoma. You know, homesick is homesick. No, Mark, I don't. It just sounded like something that you would see. Um, I've watched enough How I Met Your Mother to learn um, the names of Ted Mosby, the architect. There was a lot of innuendos in that episode, enough to go around with the poor names. He made a joke. So I threw out a How I Met Your Mother to you, Parker, and you didn't even budge. That is like one of your go-to sitcoms. It's one of
I
mine
do love
too.
me some How I Met Your Mother, man.
Me too. It's a great show. Um, I don't know. It just from a baseball. I mean, I don't really ever worry about that program, much like softball. You got Skip Johnson, Patty Gasso. There's really not much to worry about, right?
Long term, no.
Yeah.
It does hurt that you didn't sniff a championship this season in baseball because I feel like maybe the standards for that program have been set unreasonably high, not because they've climbed that championship hill yet, but just because they got so close in 2022 and they're in the SEC now. And you got to understand, like Oklahoma's operating at a deficiency when it comes to facilities and NIL. And the
Mm-hmm.
reason why they're such a competitive program year in and year out is because Skip Johnson is a freaking fantastic baseball coach. But softball, it hurts to get bounced in the semifinals, especially at the hands of a pitcher that was that close to being a Sooner. But you pretty well trust that Patty and that program are going to be right back in Oklahoma City next year, fighting for another title. And they may get it done this time based on what they have coming in and the moves that they will no doubt make in the transfer portal.
No, Yeah, I'm interested. That's the pitching is what I'm interested to see what Patty Gasso does, or and how much they pay up this time around. That will be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think that if Patty sees another player in the same light as Nija Kennedy, she'll be a little bit more willing than last year to make it happen by any means necessary. And the folks with the money will be a little bit more eager to go and make it happen. Because I think the rationale at this time last year was probably, well, we can win a title with or without Nija Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
And hindsight is 2020. Right? It's really that simple for Oklahoma. If they go and pay for Nija Kennedy last summer, they win the national title this year. They
Yep.
didn't. And Nija Kennedy went to Texas Tech, and Texas Tech was the team that ended up knocking Oklahoma out of the WCWS. So, with the benefit of hindsight, I think Oklahoma will be a little bit more willing to part ways with large sums of money in the portal if it means it gets them substantially closer to winning a national title.
Yeah. The the camp tomorrow.
Yeah, there are going to be some interesting names there, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
some guys that I'm really, really eager to watch. Uh, Tegan Collins, for one, out in Muldrow, Oklahoma, 2026 kid, probably projects best as safety. Another kid from out in eastern Oklahoma, Salina, that I like a lot and has started to garner FBS attention is Cooper Hooker. He's a slot wideout speed guy, not big, but absolutely electric with the ball in his hands. Uh, he's not going to be camping, but Tristan Dare is going to be there, the offensive line offer from down at South Lake Carroll. And yeah, man, those are just a few of the ones that we know are showing up, but it does feel like top to bottom, this is going to be a lot better camp than the one we watched on Sunday, where there were a few guys, but for the most part, nothing to write home about in the grand scheme.
Yeah, this one, I mean, Cooper Hackett's going to be there. I'm pretty stoked about that. Um, Obviously, potential chance to be a 5-star in the 2027 class. If anybody in the 27 class has a chance to do it out of the state of Oklahoma, Cooper Hackett's that dude. And he's just so raw. Like, I got to talk with him the other day, and seeing him in person, it's hard to put it and describe his frame, Parker, to people. It's ridiculous.
He's a large mammal.
And he doesn't even look it. He looks like he weighs 230 and he's like 270. He is a huge, huge guy. And the fact that he's so good at basketball, his feet are insane. Insane. Um, so excited to see him. Excited to talk to Tristan Dare again, even though he's just going to be there on a visit. He'll be rummaging around the camp, talking with everybody. He said, 2028 athlete out of Wasso Rejoice Christian Academy. Cam Narrow will be on hand. I believe he's going to be. Everybody thinks wide receiver with him. And even some people think quarterback. He's a safety. He's a DB, and I believe that's where he'll probably try some at quarterback out as soon. But they're probably going to give him to work at defensive back as well. So that'll be interesting. Trying to think who else. We were just talking about somebody on the phone just a second ago from Muldrow.
Yeah, Tegan Collins.
Tegan
And
Collins, yeah.
here's another Eastern Oklahoma kid, man, in the 28 class that I'm really eager to see. Ryder Waddle from out in
Mm-hmm.
Poto.
Poto,
He had
yep.
100+ tackles as a true freshman. Well, I guess in high school, you're always a true freshman, but a freshman in high school with 100+ tackles this past year. He's 6'4", 200 pounds. At least that's what he's listed as. I want to see what he looks like in person. I want to see what he moves like in person because he right now in the state of Oklahoma in the class of 2028, and there are a lot of guys that we don't even know about yet that haven't hit their peak as football players. But he and Chris Grimaldo down at Medill, those are kind of the two guys, or two of the guys certainly, that have put themselves on the map early in the 28 class on the defensive side of the ball here within state lines.
Yeah, I'm excited to see all of them. Real quickly before we go, Easy Work YT, thank you for the super chat. Said Texas Tech just sold. I can't watch Texas succeed.
Yes, Texas did just win game 1 of the WCWS. So scratched across a couple runs off Nigel Kennedy in the 6th inning, and that was all they needed. 2-1.
Sounds like OU, except for they gave up the run at the end of the game to lose it. But I'm here to say if that got to a second game versus Nigel Kennedy, I think OU was going to go ham on her because they finally started to figure out. They were starting to connect. I mean, how many times did they get to the wall on a couple of their shots?
I mean, it was just Abby 50s. Dayton that managed to drive it that far, wasn't it?
No, they had two or three hitters in the 4th, 5th, and 6th inning, I think, that went deep into the outfield. And I can't remember who it was, but they had three hitters because I kept thinking, dude, they're connecting all the time with her. They just cannot but that's what makes Kennedy great because you can't get the meat of the bat on the ball completely with a clean shot to get it.
Can't hit one right on the screws.
Yep. It is what it is. So, yeah, I think that'll do her. As far as this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor YouTube Live, I want to thank Riverwind Casino for being a proud title sponsor. I want to thank Jana King. Who else was there? Brute, right?
Brunt Workwear.
Brunt Workwear. And also want to thank, obviously, you members, you people that watch us every day, the viewers, all you guys are awesome. Can't thank you guys enough for what you guys do. I also want to thank Refine You Med Spa, Oklahoma City, for being a proud sponsor. If you want to give a good gift certificate to your wife, if you want to give your significant other anything, if your wife or girlfriend or anybody is big into Botox or the lip filler, the dermabrasion, or even you as a male, you want to get on a diet, they got a great nutrition system. You can call Refine You Med Spa today for free consultation, 405-849-5391, or go to refineyookc.com. It is worth it. They got so many things that they can do for you, even removing spots on your skin. They've been voted the #1 med spa in Oklahoma City for the past 6 years by 405 magazine. So again, free consultation. Call Refine You Med Spa, 405-849-5391, or go to refineyookc.com to set that up. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor YouTube Live. If you are not a member, you're a collegestudent.edu. Hit us up, ouinsider@rivals.com. You email us from that.edu. You email us from your active duty military account. If you're an active duty member right now, to ouinsider@rivals.com. We will send you a promo code to get OU Insider for a whole year for $11.95, less than $1 a month. If you're not one of those, we still thank you guys. It's $9.95 a month or $99.95. Join the thousands and thousands of OU Insider members already on there getting information you can't find anywhere else. We're dropping daily nuggets, daily recruiting notes, team notes, softball notes, baseball notes, basketball notes. Again, our basketball information is by far the best. All of that, OU Insider VIP, $9.95 a month, $99.95 for the whole year. All right, for Parker Thune, for Spencer Forsythe, my name is Brandon Drum. That's going to do it for the OU Insider Under the Visor YouTube Live, powered by Riverwind Casino. You all have a blessed day.